Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Mystical Musings show. I'm your host, Mary Brown, and today on the show we're going to be discussing how to use crystal grids, and we will also be taking your calls. And the call-in number, just so you have it, is 714-816-4628. There's still some room in the queue if you want to call in, and I will be taking your calls before you know it. Okay, so let's talk about this. What are crystal grids? And I think the most wonderful description I've found of crystal grids actually comes from the author of the Crystal Bible series and the author of many other books as well, Judy Hall, and she describes them as crystal grids as energetic technology in action. So think about that. We talk about energy work in a lot of different forms, and the thing that I like about working with crystals is that it's tangible. You've got a stone in your hand. You feel like you are putting something into action. You feel like you're really doing something. And so we're going to talk about a little bit about what all that can mean, how we can work with crystal grids, and I'll give you some tips on, creating your own grid for protection. Now, if you've seen any of the promotion for the show, in the picture, there's a picture of a grid that is a protection grid. And it's very simple to make, and it's not expensive at all. I really like to use stones, for the most part, that are inexpensive and easily obtainable. Okay, so no worries. You don't have to go on a great scavenger hunt to find unusual rare stones to do most of the things that I talk about on the radio. So, let's talk a little bit about crystal grids here. So each grid that you make, and you can make them in all different kinds of designs. I like to use, sacred geometry, and each grid that you make is going to have a unique harmonic resonance to it. The energy of a grid can be, like being in a grid can be like a really intense vibrational experience. It can be energizing, or it can be peaceful, and it all, like so many other things, depends on the intention of the individual grid. Why are you laying out the stones? What is it that you want this to accomplish, or to help you with, or to give you support with? When we talk about crystal grids in this way, we're talking about the ones that we make, that we take stones and we put them in certain patterns, and we use certain stones. There's intention all the way through in the shape that the grids are in, and in the stones that are used in the grid. But grids underpin our world. They're found throughout nature. Think of the spirals in a pine cone, or the cells of a honeycomb, or the matrix of a snowflake. They're all this internal lattice structure of a crystal. Those are all grids. I posted, if you haven't joined our Psychic Talk Radio Facebook group, you're missing out. You need to join that. You can find that by going to Facebook, .com/groups/Psychic Talk Radio, or you can find it by going to psychictalkradio.net, our website, /Facebook. We have a link there too. Or you can just search it on Facebook. It's really easy to find, and all the hosts of all the shows post different things about their shows. So it's a great way to keep up with everybody and ask questions as well. I feel like, we're all pretty responsive when someone has a question they want to post in there. But I did post a picture. It's a microscopic view of a beryl crystal, Beryl, beryl. And what's really interesting about it is this was taken by, the photo itself actually, is copyrighted by the Journal of Microscopy, and the photo shows what a beryl crystal looks like under an electron microscope. And what's really interesting is you look at it and you see the flower of life pattern. So already, we have our sacred geometry inherent in the internal structure of the crystal. So, not everybody has studied sacred geometry or really is sure exactly how to work with it. And my feeling is when we're working with crystals, we're automatically working with sacred geometry. So those are some things to kind of think about. I think that, crystal grids are a wonderful tool for harnessing the sort of nature's manifestation energy. A lot of people are always talking about, I want to manifest things. I want to manifest something, in my life. And working with crystals is a great way to support you and help you in doing that. Okay. So, before I get too much further into the topic, I wanted to also give you the card of the day. And wouldn't you know it, the card of the day comes from an oracle card deck called the Crystal Grid Oracle by Nicola McIntosh. And the card that came up is manifestation using epidote. And epidote is that's a stone of abundance, and it's going to increase and attract what you're sending out into the world, so you can really work well with the law of attraction, working with epidote. And, but because of that, the stone's not for everyone, because sometimes, we get in or for all times, right? Sometimes we, get in sort of a negative headspace and we can't, shake it off immediately. And so that's the time not to work with epidote, okay? Just putting that out there. But the real message of this card, is saying, manifestation, abundance, spiritual attunement. This is a great time to focus on that. We're still at the very beginning of 2020, this February 1st today. And so, what do we want this year to be? What do we want to manifest this year? What kind of abundance do we want to bring into our life? And you see the image on the card that I posted in our group. You can see that it's like a few different stones. Epidote is there, atlanticite is used, quartz is used, and it's a great example of how we use different types of stones to kind of support our purpose. So epidote being a stone of abundance and increases and attracts what you're sending out into the world. And that's a great stone to use if you're focused on manifesting, and also it helps, if you're, emanating some joy and some positive feelings to attract more of that. So epidote's a powerful tool to grid with. Atlanticite that you also see in that grid on the card is there to bring balance and to bring calm, and it helps you access ancient wisdom, which is always helpful when you want to manifest something. And, quartz is just wonderful as an amplifier. So you're amplifying this great energy. You're amplifying your intention. I'm always gridding with quartz, even if, I'm using like other stones as like the main focus of the grid. So, that is just kind of an example. And if you look at the card, you see how it's all laid out, and that gives you another example of like how you might create your own crystal grid. And, there's a lot of different, my goodness, Cedar Branches, who I've had on this show quite a bit since it began. He started a Facebook group called Crystal Grid Masters on Facebook, and it's mind-blowing the grids that members of that group share, that they make. And, crystal grids can be really, really elaborate and complicated and could take you a week to create, or, they can be very simple. Really simple. Like, you just want to boost your energy, so you do a quick grid. And, another aspect of gridding, is what I call layouts. I think other people call them layouts too, body layouts, where you're inside the grid. To me, that's such a powerful self-healing tool. And the easiest one that I know of is one that was suggested by my friend Melinda Carver, years ago. And it's just done with one kind of stone, and that's amethyst. And the way that you do that is you lay down on the floor or the bed, someplace where you have room around you as well, okay? And you're going to take some amethyst crystals. They can be little tumbled pieces. They can be amethyst points. It really doesn't matter, whatever you have on hand. You don't have to go out and spend a fortune. And amethyst is easy to obtain and pretty inexpensive. And so you're going to put the amethyst stones around you, while you're laying on the bed or laying on the floor. You want to make sure this is a time when you have at least 10 minutes to yourself, where, the cats and the dogs aren't going to be running across the stones, where the phone's not going to be ringing, where you can just have that 10 minutes to yourself. And you're going to place the stones one above your head, the larger piece, if you have one above your head by, a hand's length, just a few inches, and one beneath your feet, kind of in between your feet, a larger piece, again, there if you have one. And then you want to put it on kind of at the joints around you, right? So one above your head, maybe two coming off of your shoulders, two coming off of your elbows, and your wrists and your knees and your ankles, because you want to bring energy into the joints. We're using our joints all the time, aren't we? It's you don't realize how much unless you have an injury to one of your your knees or something, or your hips, and you're oh wow, I use this for everything. At least that's been my experience. But you lay out all of those stones. You can even put one on your third eye as well, if you want to do that. If you're you want to increase your connection, increase intuition. And you just lay there quietly. You can practice a relaxed breathing technique. It doesn't have to be, completely silent while you're doing this. You can have music in the background that you enjoy. You can use aromatherapy. You can light a candle, whatever is going to set that mood to help you be able to lay there for 5, 10, 15 minutes, right? And, because there's some people that have difficulty just being still. And so sometimes it does help to have other things going around. But all you got to do is just lay there with those stones surrounding you and just breathe and relax. And it's like you're bathing in this beautiful, energy of the amethyst. And, you can really use that, same technique with just about any sort of crystal that you want to. So that's what we mean by being inside a grid, and how that can have, a different resonance. If your intention is I need more energy, I feel so drained, amethyst is wonderful for that. It's got this nice, bouncy, bright energy. People feel stones in different ways. They detect different things about them. To me, amethyst is very energizing, and for other people, may not be. Who knows? But the stones that you resonate with to give you a particular feeling, and you want more of that feeling, it's terrific to do a body layout like that with it. And another great thing to do also, and amethyst does this as well, is it balances your chakras. Now sometimes we want to focus in a different way on our chakras. So we might do either a body layout like that with amethyst surrounding us, Or we might choose to do a body layout like that with clear quartz surrounding us, and you can program clear quartz. You could program it to do what it is you're trying to accomplish by doing this whole, exercise here. And if you do it with the clear quartz, what you might do is have a stone for each of your chakras and put them on, those different areas of the body connected to the chakras. It's another way to do it. So that's a real easy, simple way to work with crystal grids and using, just not that many different types of stones. You can do it just with one type of stone. And then, and also I would also just add one more thing to that is do that with rose quartz. Do that with rose quartz if you're feeling down, if you're feeling blue, if you're feeling unloved. It's a wonderful stone of healing and self-love and acceptance and compassion. And that's an awesome, that would be like a very peaceful body layout to do. So, it doesn't take all day. It's just a few minutes, and I think you're really going to reap the benefits of it. And then that image on today's promotional post for today's show, that is an example of a grid. Obviously it's a lot smaller, so you're not going to be inside that grid. You can't really lay inside that grid, right? But that is a grid that I create for protection. Sometimes I'll get, a message or get a call from someone who really is feeling like they need extra protection, or they want to do something to kind of protect themselves or their loved ones. And that grid is really simple. And if you look at the image, you can see that there's these white sticks, right? Those are selenite sticks. And I use 6 of them, right? And I use, a hexagram, because it's got this real protective energy. So I think some people also refer to it as the Star of David, the 6-pointed star. You got one triangle, upward triangle with a downward triangle, and you have the 6 points of the triangles. Okay, and so if you look at that image, you're going to lay out the selenite sticks, so they cross. I put them on top of each other. I make one triangle with 3 selenite sticks, the upward pointing triangle, and then another triangle on top of that with 3 more selenite sticks. So it's pointing downward, and you want to make sure you space them out enough that there's a little space in the middle there. And then along the points, I use 2 different kinds of stones. On the bottom points, I used red jasper, great root chakra, protective energy stone, and also tiger eye, another wonderful protective stone. I use that on the triangle points that are pointing upward, and then I connect the whole thing with a protective circle of clear quartz around it. And then if you look on the picture, you notice there's like a little something in the middle there. It's kind of like a little, has this little orange scritchy marker on top of it, and that's like a little wooden disc. I have these little wooden discs that I got, I think, at Michael's. I got like 200 of them for like $5 or something like that. It was really inexpensive. And what I like to do when I do protection grids for other people, or really any other grid, because I do crystal Reiki, and I use grids to do crystal Reiki, by the way. So if you're someone who's doing Reiki already and you haven't really incorporated crystals, you can start doing that. Create crystal grids, send your Reiki energy to the grid. It's only going to enhance what it is that you're trying to accomplish with the crystal grid anyway. But what I do with those little wooden discs is I write the name of the person or whatever it is that we want protection for, and I put that in the center of it all to represent that person, let them know they're in that circle of the protection within that protective Star of David energy with all of those wonderful protective stones. So there you go. Now you know a few different ways that you can create your own crystal grids. And look, it really it really doesn't matter so much, right? When it comes to the shapes of the stones that you use, I've had a lot of people be kind of, concerned. They'll see some of these amazing looking pictures of crystal grids with these like, pyramids and towers and all these amazing like carved stones that sometimes can be kind of expensive to get, and you don't have to spend all the heavy money to use those particular ones. But sometimes we have different stones that we just have a carving of, but we don't have others, and those are fine to use. Some things to keep in mind, like common shapes that we see in stones are like crystal spheres. Well, if you use a sphere in a grid, it's really great for adding like a calming energy. It's got that wonderful spherical shape to it. It's sending out the energy all around. A rose quartz sphere would be extra great for like a nice, calm, peaceful grid. You could use that as a center stone, or you could do the same thing with a heart shape. Heart shapes are about loving intent. Ovals are about our physical needs. So if you're trying to create a grid to help with physical healing, an oval shape is wonderful to use as well. Sometimes we feel like we need to balance our masculine and our feminine energies. Teardrop designs are terrific for that, or we're looking for new beginnings and new experiences. The egg-shaped crystals are terrific for that as well. And pyramids, again, are wonderful for manifesting, and obelisks are good for trust and light, and wands are wonderful for amplifying by directing the energy. So that's one thing, fundamental thing about doing body layouts and about doing gridding is this. If you're working with crystal points, that come to a point, they're going to be, or little crystal ones, you're directing the energy. So sometimes we want to send energy out, and sometimes we want to bring energy in. And if you're using points or wands in a body layout, and you want to use them to bring more energy to you, you want to have those points pointing in towards you inside the grid. Or if you want to kind of let go of something, release, if you're doing a body layout to release, some baggage, release some tension, release some stress, you want to have those points pointing outward. So out to get rid of, inward to bring to us. Okay? So that's just some fundamental things there about crystal gridding. I think the other thing that I want to mention about this is also the structure of the crystals that we're working with. So, like I said, we're always working with sacred geometry when we're working with crystals, and everything in nature has including our own bodies, has an inherent structure to it. But it wouldn't be a bad thing to learn, and you can research. There's books that you can buy as well, but you can research most of this for free online. You can learn about the different structures, like what's a monoclinic crystal, what kind of impact does the internal structure of the crystal have? What's a tetragonal, what's a triclinic, what's a hexagonal crystal? And all of those words, right, orthorhombic, are describing the internal lattice structure of the crystal itself. And, they are thought to have an impact. Stones that have a cubic internal crystal structure are thought to be helpful when it comes to grounding and stabilizing energy, releasing tension, assisting with cleansing even. Hexagonal internal crystal structures, can be very, balancing and supportive, and, especially when we're trying to organize things, it's also protective. And, it goes on and on and on. We're not really going to focus so much on the internal crystal structures, but when we're talking about crystal grids, I think it's, it doesn't hurt to kind of take it into consideration as well. And as with almost all things crystals, there is a lot to consider, right? It's not just the stones themselves, the shapes of the stones, the internal crystal structure of the stones, but it's also the color of the stones as well. So it's a lot of fun. And the other thing I would mention with color real quickly, and I'll be getting to calls pretty soon. I see the switchboard is lit up like a Christmas tree. The last thing that I want to mention, unless anybody has any questions, is that if you're creating like a smaller grid, not a body layout, but maybe that too, we'll talk about that in a quick second here, is that it really is wonderful to put your crystal grid, if it's small enough, on a cloth that's a certain color that is, going to be even more supportive of what the grid is about. So if I'm trying to create a grid for my own physical health, right? For example, I might use a green-colored cloth underneath it, because to me, I associate the color green. It's a nice, healthy color to me. It's a color of healing to me. It's associated with Archangel Raphael, the archangel of healing for me. So, that's another thing to consider. And so you think, okay, that's great, for the smaller layouts. But if I'm doing a body layout, it doesn't matter, does it? Well, okay, not so much. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying you got to change the color of the rug if you're just laying on the carpet in your room, but maybe you have a blanket that is a color that makes you feel that association with what it is you're trying to accomplish by doing the layout. Or, get a special blanket just for your layouts, to do layouts on. Because there's something to that, right? It's not just like taking the time and trying to relax and spending, 10, 15 minutes and just getting into that space and having all the stones around you. But sometimes when we're doing that kind of work, and I feel like it's the same thing with shamanic journeying or meditation as well, it really can be helpful to have a blanket or have, something that is reserved for that kind of healing work. Your sacred blanket, if you want, or this is my crystal layout blanket, or it does make a difference. It's kind of like it adds to it in a really lovely way. All right, so we are just about to take calls here. We are also at the bottom of the hour, so really quickly, before I start taking calls, I wanted to tell you what is coming up on the Psychic Talk radio network this week. And so, Monday is our next show. That's February 3rd. That's going to be the Wisdom of the Soul show at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern with your host, Janice Fuchs. And that will be followed on Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern with the Compassionate Light Healing and Guidance Show with your host, Catherine Hahn. She's going to be talking about living a purpose-filled life. And then on Friday, the Doctors Are In show with hosts Rose Wilkerson and Dax Carlisle. They'll be doing open lines all show long and taking your calls, and they're also going to be talking about what your personal year number for 2020 is. And then I'll be back next Saturday, February 8th, on the Tarot Today radio show with Dax Carlisle. We'll have open lines, and we're going to be talking about how to choose your first tarot deck. That's something we get a lot of questions about, and so hopefully we'll be able to address all your questions about that. So that's what's coming up here on the Psychic Talk radio network. So let's go ahead and go to the lines here, go to the phone lines. And again, if you, there's still maybe some space here, I think, on the switchboard. If you want to call in, the number again to call is 714-816-5617. 4628. And if you want to chat with other people during the show, you can also do that. You can even pose questions in the chat room. Our chat room is at thetarotguild.com, thetarotguild.com/chat. We're in the main room there, and you can always post a question in there too. All right, but our callers get first precedent, and we always take them in the order that they appear in. So let's see who has been waiting the longest here, and that is area code 916. Area code 916, caller, are you there? Hello, 916. Hello. I'm not hearing anybody. Okay. Area code 916. Are you there, caller? Hello. All right. I'm going to put them back on hold. We'll swing back around to 916. Okay, and then next we're going to go to area code 205. Area code 205. Caller, are you there?
Hi, how are you?
Hi. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Patricia. I'm calling from Alabama.
Hi, Patricia. And what are you calling about today?
I am calling about a relationship, and I just want to see what you see around the relationship that we've reconnected after a couple of years.
Okay. And we just want to kind of just take a look at it, right, to see what's going on. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So,
How is he feeling? I haven't heard from him in about a week, a little over a week, and I'm wondering if after I've put some things in place that I sort of expect a second go around, if he's willing to meet that request, or has he changed his mind?
Okay, let's take a look at that. See what's going on with this relationship.
Mhm.
Okay, well, Okay,
do you need a
so
name?
this is interesting. No, I don't. Do you happen to know if he's an air sign?
He's a Pisces. I'm an air.
Okay, so
I'm the Aquarius.
He's the water sign. Okay, because I've got water and air here. Okay, I'm like, one of you's an air sign, one of you.
My moon sign is Pisces. So, and his moon sign is Taurus. So I don't know if you're picking up both of them.
That's Earth. Yeah, well, I feel like, the king and the queen here are representing, like, both of you. And what's interesting is this, we have the sun card, we have the star card that come up with this. Those are both great cards. The star card is about, hope and, what we want to see happen. And the sun card is usually, we want to see this be successful. We want to feel happy. But the other card that's hanging over everything is the Ten of Swords. And so with the Ten of Swords, that's where we can kind of feel like, we need to hit the reset button, and that's kind of what this is about, right? You recently reconnected, and we're trying to do that, and in order to go forward, it's like one cycle ends, one begins.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you now.
There may be like a sense of, baggage that he's like taking with him in the way that he looks at relationships or looks at the situation. I feel like, I feel like there's a lot of potential here. I feel like, it's going to take a while for this to really start to come together, though. So, patience, is a virtue, as they say. And, because we're doing, kind of the theme today is kind of crystals, I'm going to go ahead and pull a crystal card for each of our callers today, too, from the Eternal Crystals Oracle cards, and just see, like, what what kind of energy, can be helpful to this situation. And the card that comes up is called Kunzite, and it's this beautiful pink stone, and it's connected to both the third eye and the heart chakra. So we definitely have the heart chakra going on with this relationship, very actively engaged there. But the thing that's really kind of interesting is saying that, this is about new beginnings coming into your life. And so that's something to kind of, you and him kind of recognize that even though there's been, you have a past, you've had a, connection before, that for this to really have the best possible chance, we've got to kind of start with a clean slate in a lot of ways, And so any baggage that I feel like he's bringing, like some sort of baggage in his thought processes to this, and that's kind of, it can cause delays and holdups and, trickiness there. So he's got to let it go. We've got to say, okay, this is like our new beginning. And now we have the opportunity to, like, get it right this time, make it work this time, really enjoy it this time. So there you go. There's your reading. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed my reading. Many blessings.
Oh,
thank you.
Wonderful. Many blessings to you as well. Bye-bye. Okay, well, that was great. We're going to give this first caller that for some reason maybe they were away from the phone, didn't work. We're going to give them another chance here, and that's area code 916. Caller, are you there?
Hi, sorry about that. My boss is right there.
No worries.
Thank you for coming back.
Sure. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Christine. I'm calling from California.
Christine from California. And what did you want to talk about? Awesome. What did you...
My relationship, if it's... Or is it not?
Did you have a specific question about it?
We've just been in a relationship for a while, and I'm getting mixed emotions and mixed feelings, and mixed messages. I'm not sure where it's going.
So we want to just sort of take a look at this and see, like, what's up with the mix-up with the messages and the feelings that you're having with it. Okay. Well, let's see. I think that's a good idea. Because sometimes, things can get like a little bit out of balance or off whack, out of whack, and sometimes there's nothing to be concerned about, and sometimes it is, right? Let's just take a look at this for you.
I'm okay with anything. I'm okay with anything.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, see what cards come up, and then we can kind of look at it. And okay, so this is kind of interesting. I feel like it's not bad. The cards that come up here. We have the Queen of Swords that could be representing you, and the Knight of Cups. I don't know if he's a water sign or you're an air sign. It doesn't have to be, but sometimes, it aligns along in that way.
He's a Capricorn.
He's what?
I'm a Virgo. A Capricorn. I'm a Virgo.
Oh, okay. So, then this is like really just kind of representing like the energies of those cards, right? And in the center of it, we have the Star card. The Star card is great. It's what we aspire to. It's what we hope for. That kind of thing, but it's really saying that, like, maybe part of this mixed message, mixed signaling that's going on and mixed feelings has to do with, like, maybe we're kind of like in two separate approaches to this. We're kind of like not on the same page as what this feels like to me, and it feels like it has a lot to do with like really making up our mind. And I feel like maybe both of you, of what you want this relationship to be. On the one hand, we've got this idea of a love relationship, romantic relationship, and then on the other hand, we've got the Three of Cups where we're just having fun,
Mhm.
And so I think that there could easily be mixed feelings and mixed signals with that kind of thing. The Ace of Swords comes in, and it's like we got to cut through this, we got to cut to the chase and get real, so that nobody gets hurt and nobody feels like they're kind of wasting their time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that's what I was wondering, if I wasted my time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. It's like, okay, we got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what you already know. Okay, that's helpful. What's interesting about that is that how communicative is he when you want to discuss the relationship, right?
Not
because
very.
Not very. That's like that. Then, like, it makes it hard. And so I feel like sometimes it doesn't hurt to kind of say, okay, I do need to talk about this. I do need to know where we're at, if we're on the same page, and if we want the same thing. And, I'm not trying to, put any pressure or anything, but, I really need to have this discussion. And I pulled a crystal card for you. I'm pulling a crystal card for everybody today. And I got jade, which is a beautiful green stone. It's a heart chakra stone. And, it's kind of, one of those that, is kind of a classic, right? People carry jade. They think of it connected to, good luck. But jade also talks about changes that are coming our way. And not to fear them, because they are positive changes. And so I do think the two of you really do need to discuss this instead of that feeling like you're in limbo and you don't really know where it's headed, if it's headed. And please understand that whatever that brings, whatever the outcome is, it's going to be a change for the positive for you. Okay?
I see.
All right. So thanks for...
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. And if you can keep me on the line, I'd appreciate it.
Do what?
Can you keep me on the line, if that's okay?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for calling, and thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you for answering it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right. That was terrific. I'm going to reshuffle these cards here. We have time for a few more callers here. And again, that number is 714-816-4628 if you would like to call in for a mini reading or even to discuss crystals and grid work, since that's our topic for the day. I will try to answer your questions if I can. If not, I might have to do some research. So let's see who our next call is. Actually a Skype call. Hello, Skype caller. Are you there?
Hey, how are you? Yes, I am.
Hi, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Lisa, and I'm calling from Brooklyn.
Lisa from Brooklyn. And what did you want to talk about today?
Okay. So I talked to you before, and you've given me sage advice, which I have listened to. Okay?
Oh, thanks.
So, yes. So this time is a little differently. So I'm intuitive myself, and I always need someone to kind of like help me see the light. So I've been picking up on this sentence, when the clock strikes, and I'm not sure exactly what they are telling me or what they want me to do, but it's like, for example, when the clock strikes 7, or I'm not sure what, like if you pick up any number or anything, but it's when the clock strikes.
Okay, so that's just the phrase that you keep kind of getting or hearing intuitively is when the clock
Yes.
strikes, but there's not a number after it when you do it, right?
Yeah, the only number, okay, the number that I think about is like 7 a.m., like 7:30 a.m. I remember one time I had to go to an appointment, and this was like a few years ago. And so when they say when the clock strikes, I see myself like outside waiting for the lady to come in, and I was there for the appointment. I think she got there about 9:30, and I got there like 7:30. I hear, that I hear that, it gets really busy, so I said, let me just go ahead early and just wait. So I was outside at 7:30ish. So I'm not talking about if that's the time they're talking about. I don't know. But it's just when the clock strikes.
Right. Right. Okay, well, let's pull some cards on this and just see what comes up. What is this about? And I have to say, these are some of my favorite kind of readings to do are on, other intuitive readings. I have clients that, either they read runes or they read tea leaves, and sometimes they'll want a tarot reading on their tea leaf reading, and I love doing that. I'm like, oh, wow, we're really divining. But let's see.
Okay.
The clock strikes. This message you keep getting, what might that be about for you? And we can see if there's any particular number that, shows up in particular. We've got, we don't have numbers repeating themselves here. But, what's so strange is like we have like it's like a count, and it's like numbers, like sequential numbers, like 7, 8, 9, which is kind of interesting. Underneath it all is so the underneath it all is the Justice card. So it may have something to do with fairness, equality, balance. Okay,
you're right. You are 1,000% right. Because I didn't even tell you the nature of it, but yes, you are 100% right. Yep.
Okay. So it has something to do with that because we have the Justice card, and the other cards that come up are interesting. We've got the Queen of Wands that could be representing you. Or somebody. It could be like a fire sign queen, a fire sign woman. But also, the Queen of Wands to me is like this wonderful, like adaptable energy. Like she can she can be flexible, but she's also got this sort of like, I'm going to do something. I'm going to accomplish something. I'm going to take some action. That kind of feeling. And the other thing that comes up, too, is the Eight of Cups. Now, the Eight of Cups is an interesting card. Sometimes it's depicted as it's almost got a melancholy feel to it because it's about needing to move on, like onward and upward. And sometimes we've got to leave behind something in order to move onward, and that's kind of the message of the Eight of Cups. But eights themselves are, associated with the sense of like resilience and abundance. And so that is interesting. And then the 7 that comes up is the 7 of Cups. So with the 7 of Cups, it's got this sort of like, it can be a card of like indecision where we can't decide exactly what direction to take. It can, sometimes that indecision can turn into procrastination because we want to kind of like put something off. We don't want to make the decision quite yet, So all of those things are what's coming up with this when the clock strikes intuitive phrase that you're getting. And one other thing that I would say here that kind of blows my mind is the Hierophant card comes up. So I do feel like, in this case, I feel like it's like a spiritual message. So that could be coming from, your spirit guides, your angels, whatever you feel, that resonance with it, you're getting the message from. Even your higher self with, sometimes a Hierophant is called the high priest. So, but yeah, this is really kind of fascinating. Does any of this make any sense to you?
Yes. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. I do have enough time. I have up until, I would say, by July to make this decision. I would say no later than the second week of August. But I'm going to actually do a reading with you, then I'll tell you exactly what it's about. And you know, it's very fascinating. Yes.
Oh, wow. And let me also pull a crystal card for you. We're doing that today for all our callers. Let's just see what crystal card comes up in that message. You know, it's kind of an unusual crystal. It's called cerussite. It's spelled with the C, cerussite. And cerussite, it's a root and crown chakra. It helps you to adapt, ground yourself, and feel comfortable in all kinds of different environments and situations. And it's known as the crystal for travelers. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if there's any travel, you know, when you're coming up, or that you're thinking about that or anything. But it's one that, you know, you use. You know, people will put it in their luggage or whatever, just so they have, like, you know, good travels, and that, you know, kind of helps bring positive experiences. So this is your crystal card along with your reading, and thanks so much for calling in.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely doing the reading with you. It's just that this thing is blowing my mind. I cannot wait to tell you. But you'll probably hear from me. You'll hear from me soon, okay? And I'll discuss this with you. All right, thank you so much.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Fascinating.
Okay. All right, and let's see here. Going to take a couple more callers, and then I have an announcement for next month's show that I want to share with you before we end the show today. But let's go ahead and see who the next person, I'm just reshuffling here, who is the next caller. All right. Let's see, where in the world? So funny. I've got all these things laying around here, all these stones today. I keep bumping them off my chair. All right, so our next call in line here is area code 415. Area code 415. Are you there?
Hi. Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
Absolutely. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Jessica, New Jersey.
Jessica in New Jersey. And what was your question? What do you want to talk about today?
I'm having a transition in my life, and I'm just, what can I say? Just anything as far as, like, I'm having some memories come up about some past things that I just keep letting go, and I've been, crying here and there and emotionally eating. So,
right.
Just, just helping myself. I'm just at this place that I am. I've had a lot of things go on with my family over the years, and I am finally at the place that I'm like, I don't need them anymore, and let's just release everything of the past and all the trauma. And again, this has been many years in the making, but it's just coming to the conclusion. I'm really at the conclusion. I don't need them anymore. And I can just totally let this whole previous life go. So just to help me, whatever would help me just release everything. I know it's happening anyway, but just to support me in it.
Right. How do I navigate the transition? Because it's happening, like they say. Look, the first thing that just comes to mind for me is like the rose quartz. We're talking about crystals today. Rose quartz can be a wonderful stone to like help support us, to help us feel that divine love, to feel that self-love, to feel that gentleness, kindness, and compassion. When we go through the type of transition that you're describing, and yeah, it's big emotional release going on here. So the crying And the and the eating emotionally, my gosh, we all do that. I do that, my gosh. But all of that is like it's like ways that our body is trying to deal with the emotions that you're going through. And so, working with crystals, like doing a body layout with little pieces of rose quartz around you and just breathing and trying to.
Oh, wait. I've lost you for a minute. Are you there? Where'd she go? Are you on mute?
Okay, that was really weird. I don't know. Somehow, Blog Talk dropped me. I'm going to see if I can try and get Jessica back here. That was so weird. When does that happen? Are you back?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was so strange. But we were talking about rose quartz. Going to have to edit that big blank space out of the show. But let me go ahead and draw some tarot cards for you and just see, what might help you as you go through all of this.
Well, I love that. I love that you just dropped off. I love that you dropped off because it really is what my intention is just the past just disappearing, just letting it go completely. That's it, done. And that's
look, there you go. There's a sign, right? Oh my God, I love that. Oh wow. And look, what's really interesting? The first card that comes up is the Eight of Cups. That's like when we have to move on. We want to move onward and upward, and cups are about emotion. That Eight of Cups, like I said, has got this feel to it. We've got to let go. We've got to release. And, the Justice card comes up here, too. I feel like that's what this is about. Like, there's something about this whole dynamic that you're walking away from now that's causing you to release things that just maybe hasn't been in balance. It hasn't been fair. Okay.
Well, it's interesting that you're saying. Well, I guess there's two things. Based just first off what you said is one. You're saying just to let go, which is what I've been saying to myself too. But there's also a part of me that's like, so how do I completely just let all of that go? Which I know that it's some being taken through the process, but I think there's that part of me, just how you just dropped off, is like, I just want to drop it off fast. And so that's sort of still a question. And then the other part is the justice thing is I've been feeling vindicated lately. I mean, not like an ego thing, but I feel like it finally became fair. Like, I think that's what happened for me. Something clicked that I feel like, okay, they paid their price for doing the things to me, and now I'm just ready. I don't know if that's what you were picking up, but it just, I don't know if you're picking up the opposite, but just something happened that I'm like, okay, it's been enough time and we're done.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because the other thing about the Justice card besides fairness is balance, right? And so now it's saying that like this, letting go, moving onward that we see with the Eight of Cups, it's like in the name of restoring a sense of balance in your life.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly,
in this whole idea of like, how do I do it? Underneath the Eight of Cups is the Four of Cups, and it's kind of a funny card. The Ace of Swords is above it, so the Ace of Swords is like the way we think. The Ace of Swords are about new ideas, new starting a new phase in life. The Four of Cups is like it's a card of apathy. It's a card where, we aren't going to be emotionally invested anymore. We have a life.
Yeah.
We have the life that we have. We've had the experiences that we've had, but it's like when we are still investing our emotions in it and our time, and we're spending time thinking about it, that's when it just cannot, it can hold us back sometimes, depending on what it is, So I feel like that's saying, that's kind of how you do it, is like you've got to kind of like, drop it in that way that, you develop like a kind of a healthy apathy for it, or you work on becoming indifferent to it so that you're not feeling the feelings that you don't want to feel anymore associated with it. And then the other thing, the last card that comes up is another 8. It's the 8 of Wands. So the 8 of Wands is great. I think of like 8 arrows, flying through the air pretty quickly and not impeded, not being held back, and hitting the bullseye on the target. So it's like, have in mind what you want this change to be, this transition you're going through. Where's the destination, or where's at least the next destination? Where do we want to get to? Find a way to like set a goal around it. It could be simple. It could be as simple as like, okay, I want to get to the place where I'm not crying every time I hear this song, or when I think of this person, or I think of this thing. They can be little goals. They can be little steps along the way, but you can do this, and I think that that balance is going to be restored for you.
Yeah, I love the whole balance restored, because the last several days, the last several days I've been working out again, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like myself again. Like I have energy to do these things because I was so emotionally worn down. And I think that's what is making me cry here and there, is that because I really became numb to the whole experience and experiences. I've gone through different phases with it. But I spent all these years caring so much and trying to make things better with my family and this and that, and putting my life on hold. And now it got to a point. So I think now that I'm just crying because it's like I'm not that person anymore. Like I don't give a shit about them anymore. And it's like, who is this? Like it sort of feels a little bit cold to me, but it's like, whatever, I don't need you guys anymore. Like you served your part of the mission, and something, I don't know if you're able to pick up anything with past lives, but something came that I was wondering about that came to my mind the other day was that, I went through a bunch of stuff with my parents, and I was living with them. I ended up moving back in with them, and then some more shit went down, and then I moved out of there, and they have been paying for my apartment, and it's been several years, and something clicked. Like I said, something clicked the other day that I said, okay, I was just sort of wondering, like it was like sort of like there had to be also that restore of balance of like what you guys did to me. Like I'm taking it out on you, I guess, with your money because you're paying for my apartment. But something happened that it was like, okay, and enough. It's been paid, done. So I don't know what. A part of my mind is like, well, what was it about? What was that? Whatever deal we made or that past life thing that they were going to do something to me, then they were going to have to pay me back money wise, like something. I don't know if you're picking up anything.
Like karmic debt, right?
Right.
Where it comes from, like past life actions, that kind of thing. But also the thing that I would say about this, and I've talked. It's so weird you ask about past lives. I was like talking to a friend last night about past lives. We were like doing past life readings. So this is like, wow, it's like coming up. But the thing that I would say with this is that is something that I think you should explore. I could do a reading on it and I can tell you, but I think the most healing comes from when we see it for ourselves, okay? And the way that I found the most effective to do that. And, it comes with like a disclaimer. You've got to realize that, it is it is in the past, and it can also be, a very emotional experience, to kind of recover those kind of memories, because they're still memories of our soul. But ask your guardian angel, ask whoever you feel like is your spirit guide to help you to see this. You can do it through meditation, okay? And like I've done that in the past. I did an episode of the show on the experience I had, and it was just like, it blew my mind for like a week, and I was like crying, and it was just too intense. But it was great. It was very healing in the end. But it sounds to me, the one thing that I would say about all of this is that it really sounds to me that like you're already in the healing work of this. The things that you're doing, the reason, you having the recognition that it's time for you to be able to let go, and that, instead of, because it's the thing, when we continue that, the back and forth, that like, okay, I'm paying you back for this. You did this to me. I'm going to do that to you. When we even think in those ways, what we're looking at are the attachments and all of the, negative, like energetic cords that are created. They're like emotional energetic cords. You can ask Archangel Michael to help sever those cords of negativity connected to the situation. But I think you're on a good path right now. And like you said, you're feeling more like yourself. We are not what other people, put on us. We are not all of that baggage, and all of that kind of, those attachments that can come up in relationships that can be positive, and they can a lot of times be negative and draining, and they can lock us into like patterns that are destructive. And so I feel like what you're doing right now with making these choices and releasing these things, and I know it's not easy, but I think like this is like a big turning point for you. It's not just a transition. It's like this is, you really kind of coming out and into being your full self, your full authentic self again.
Yeah, well, it's not again. It's for the first time. Like when you really heal all those childhood wounds and you're done with that karma, then you reclaim yourself, like so that's right. So I like how you said that, right? It's not a transition. It's the point where I turn my whole life around. That is 100% what it is. And awesome. It's like, wow. All right, so I'll do the past life meditation. We get a little lazy with it, and we're like, can you just tell me? But I'll do it.
Could you just tell me? But and I love doing those readings, but I just feel like, man, you are already in the midst of this healing. It's going to be so much more beneficial,
Right, I appreciate that.
Doing that, okay?
But to emotionally eat because I'm really craving chocolate. Thank you.
And rose quartz.
Yeah, you're the second person that said that to me in the matter of a couple of days, so I'm going to start carrying that around with me. Thank you. I'll listen now.
Synchronicity. Okay, thanks for calling.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, well, we are already sort of over time here. We're running out of time here. But I did want to make an announcement before we end the show for today, and that is that our next episode, this is the first Saturday of every month that we do this show, and I've had a wonderful time doing this Mystical Musings show with all of you, but I'm coming back in March and I'm bringing back my old show, There's a Rock for That. And so we're still going to be doing mini readings and taking your calls, but we're going to be focused much more on crystals like it was in the old days when I was doing There's a Rock for That. and I'm really excited about it, and I hope you will all join me on this journey. So that kicks off March 7th, because March is the month when There's a Rock for That initially premiered, and that was back in 2014. And I'm really, really excited to be able to focus more on the Crystal Kingdom and connect with all of you as well. And so I hope that you enjoyed today's show, this last episode of Mystical Musings, and I'll see you next month, March 7th, for There's a Rock for That. I want to thank all of our listeners today and everybody who called in with their questions. It was wonderful to connect with all of you, and I hope that all of you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your weekend. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.